All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Keller Williams Princeton Business by the Book. This is part two of two. Last week, we touched on primarily the one thing. We took a look at that. Just to recap a little bit on that, we talked about obviously starting out with mindset and getting organized around our one thing. We talked about time blocking. We talked about focusing on our environment, the support systems we have around us, the people we have around us, the habits that we're forming. We talked about the 7 circles of life and how we stay balanced in those areas, and areas that we can work on. If we're feeling a little bit lower in one of these categories, we can certainly focus on that to bring it back into balance. We also talked about counterbalancing. So as opposed to work-life balance, we're actually counterbalancing in between the demands of work and the demands of our personal lives. So sometimes we fall out of balance when we spend more time than usual focusing on one area or the other. And the reason for that is really to get to a higher level, usually at times a breakthrough in achievement through ceilings of previous capabilities. We focus on the one thing, the habits that we need to focus on daily to break through those. So we talked about a simple path to productivity, focusing on that one question. So the second half of this is really getting into more the MREA models. We did talk about last week, we touched on the beginning of the mindset of the millionaire real estate agent and the 9 ways that they think. So we're going to pick up on that here today. Okay, so millionaire mindset, power of the models and how to live the MREA mindset. Success is less complicated than most people make it. All action plans must be reduced to simplicity in order for us to implement them. That is exactly what the MREA is designed to do, to take what may appear to be overwhelmingly complex and break it down into simple ideas that can be implemented. Think of it as a blueprint for building your millionaire real estate business. In that, we know that success leaves clues, right? So we're following the models of other people. It's all been documented. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's here, and it's in the MREA Red Book. Models are the cornerstone of success. That's what the book will actually discuss in the beginning. As you go through and read the introduction, you'll see the history of that, how Gary was documenting the best practices of his top 100 mastermind agents. And these were not just company agents, but friends and colleagues that he had throughout the industry around the world. The actions are the source of all results. Discovering what people do to lead to specific results is called modeling. Modeling is the pathway to excellence. It's the way to leverage the knowledge and experience of others. And modeling excellence requires that you act as an investigator, curious about the paths others take to get to success. So there's an idea, a concept around the models, and it's represented here in the triangle. So we have the foundational models of leads, listing, and leverage. And then through the MREA, we're going to take these steps. We're going to first start with Think a Million. So that, again, that's the mindset of the millionaire real estate agent. Earning $1 million is grossing $1 million. So that's actually inking in production. And then netting is actually the income netting $1 million. And then receiving $1 million is actually being deposited into our personal bank accounts. The fifth idea here, now we've added a fifth, is called Give $1 million. So think, earn, net, receive, and give. And there's a quote from Jay Papasan at the end, at the bottom. Give is the next step for top agents to shoot for. 5 giving strategies from Jay Papasan and Ben Kinney as well. Give your attitude, give your time, give your money, give your leadership, give your wealth. All great insights from great people. How to live the MREA mindset is really about thinking like a high achiever. Attitude and perspective are a large part of the Think a Million formula. We're not talking about positive thinking and affirmations, but rather about zeroing in some key specifics. When you're looking to change your habits, you need to be more precise and a little bit more on purpose. Again, we talked about the 9 ways the MREA thinks. Again, the first 2 are the big ones, and the other 7 categories are how we while they're not less important, but they tend to play a supportive role into the first 2. A couple exercises here. We're going to skip over those. There's a workbook and some handouts here we could take away. You could work on this yourself. Also, I'm going to reference the business planning clinic, which Nick and I teach here in the Market Center, and we're going to go deeper into that here today. So part 4, maximizing profit within the 4 fundamental models. So the first idea is around, we looked at this last week, we started to touch on the MREA models, how they fit together. So starting at the top, we have our, oops, sorry about that. Starting at the top, we have our economic model. So to be successful, we need to understand basically how these models work together, what each model is for, what it sets out to achieve and accomplish, and what specifically about it we need to start looking at today. So the economic model really zeroes us in quite quickly. It shows you what numbers we need to focus on in order to achieve a specific income. So knowing our numbers, what we need to hit, we have to focus on appointments and the conversion rates, and we'll touch more on that. We talk, then that turns into lead generation. Again, starting with the end in mind, a couple personal notes on here myself. Lead generation, prospect and marketing, and we'll look at some updates on that. Setting up a database and systematically marketing to it. We'll actually show you a graph of what that looks like using in Command. The budget model, everybody needs to be tracking their expenses, knowing where their money is going. The idea is around leading with revenue, red light, green light, and sticking to the budget. When you're doing all you can, it's time to hire help. Now, for the solo agent, that starts out with tools, systems, and models, and then later we can add people to that as well. So hiring talent, training and consulting talent. If you've never worked in management before, there's some new interesting concepts for all of us there. So just going into this a little bit more, looking at the MREA business planning clinic. So just to cover a couple things from this, we start with setting the goals. We talked about that last time. Now from there, we're going to move into the 4 different models. The economic model, again, this is the formula that describes the relationship of activities in respect to our business, where it comes from, where it goes. The lead gen model, exactly where the money comes from, the activities it's going to lead to those numbers in the economic model. And really, these two are the fuel and the engine for the business. The budget model, where your money goes, keeping track of it, organization, and even a 5th one here, not included in MREA, but discussed certainly in the present day, is the expansion model. So this is the idea where you're mastering the first 4 models and you're expanding your business geographically. So just a couple examples here. The economic model, this is taken from the MREA. This actually shows the net income of $1 million, working backwards from that, what was the GCI that we need to make. In Business Planning Clinic, we're going to touch more on these. We're going to discuss these in more detail, but the big inputs are the average commission sold and really that GCI amount, which comes from your goals for the year, how much you need to make. Now, the biggest, most interesting thing that's affecting these numbers currently are conversion rates. So right now, the conversion rates between listings taken, listings sold, very high rate. Obviously, most of the listings out there are selling rather quickly. On the buyer side, it's a very different conversation. It's obviously much harder to find buyers' homes right now with the shortage of inventory, and you're having to work with more and more buyers to convert at the lower conversion rates to achieve the same goals. So it's actually a little bit harder on the buyer side right now. These conversion rates are a big factor. Working backwards into our monthly and weekly calendar, we can divide these numbers out. Now, again, don't be distracted by the size of these numbers. This is from a Millionaire Real Estate Agent. What you want to do is really work through your first numbers yourself. And in Business Planning Clinic here, we're going to do that. But the benefits of the economic model, providing the number of appointments and units sold that you need to hit your goal. If you don't know how many appointments you need to go on and you don't know how many units you need to sell, it's going to be very hard to make your goals. So we work backwards from the end in mind. This also tells us what kind of conversion rates or how the conversion rates in the current market are going to affect our business and what we may need to do to be prepared for that. Again, it allows mastery of your business. It keeps focus on profit first. It helps keep your budget model in line. If you're not looking at what you're spending on lead generation, if you're not holding those numbers accountable to some type of return, then your budget's going to be out of line. It provides benchmarks to hold your team accountable to. So again, as a solo agent, you're tracking your numbers, what you're able to achieve. Those are going to become your standards. Your standards will become what you're known for. And again, it allows you to gain greater insight into the economic decisions that you're going to be making. Now, in MREA, the original lead gen activities, prospecting and marketing were appropriate for the time that that book was first released in 2003. And we know that it's certainly changed in the advertising on the social media and marketing side of things as well. So this is, again, an updated list. It actually shows a sort of a hybrid approach in the middle there between prospecting and marketing, where you can actually do both through farming, geographical, demographic, obviously events, open houses, seminars, all of these activities, networking. You know, what I strongly recommend for most people is to start out with what you're doing already. Take the items here that you're doing well at a high level. Take what you're doing already for free. If you're already out doing network, if you're already involved in social groups, if you're already involved in school, children's activities, anything that you're involved in personally, those are spheres, your social media accounts. Now, maybe you don't want to market to all of them, but the majority of contacts in your cell phone and your social media accounts all fit in these categories. And then around your properties, your listings and your sales, you can obviously do more prospecting and marketing. Always pay attention to the do not call list. We're very specific around that. There are specific rules for the do not call. There's also rules for door knocking and in the different townships where you need to have proper representation and documentation. So again, all lead generation ideas in here. Some new, some you'll recognize. Also working into MREA now, again, just along the lines of budget and benchmarking. Let's say economic model and benchmarking. These are typical best practices that we see. There's averages broken down in here. I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but this is shared in MREA. Also, these are updated in the business plan clinic resources, which you have here available as well. Some slight changes, not big differences in the percentages, certainly not big changes in the overall 30-30-40 model, which we talk a lot about. 30% cost of sales, 30% expenses, targeting 40% net income. But again, all benchmarking, so whatever you're spending money on here in proportion to the size of your business, across the top we have the GCI. You could take a look at that and then compare that to your business. For most solo agents starting out, you're going to be on the far left category, starting at the 150. And you can see further on the right, there are some best practices out there at $1 million and 2.5 million GCI. And again, what we're really looking at are the percentages holding up over these different range of numbers. So this is an interesting concept along the lines of lead generation. Found this slide a few years ago. It actually represents or tries to represent, depicts the lead generation model within Command. So what people may or may not know is that Command was built and designed around the MREA models. So in terms of lead generation model, and this is for a solo agent, but really it's true for anyone's business, really starts with prospecting and marketing. So there's a lot of different things you could do inside Command. We have paid ads, emails, direct mail, social posts. We also have the design side where you can design emails, landing pages, social media, print, and even the agent websites. The sites themselves, the agent sites, the landing pages, and even the consumer mobile app are all opportunities to collect prospecting and marketing. Something I love to bring up right now, if you're not from this area or you're maybe moved in a new place, look at the referral network. If you have a large sphere of friends and family, if you just moved from another state and you have friends and family back where you came from, you can continue to market to them through the direct mail campaigns. You can share with them neighborhood nurtures, keep them up to date with what's going on in their market, save buyer searches, and then through the referral network, you can connect them to other agents in that area. So that's another big opportunity that, there's no single weather forecast. There are other parts of the country where the market is slightly different. There could be more inventory. There might be more opportunities for buyers, but you won't know unless you're marketing and connecting to your sphere in those places. Now, as we go through and we capture new people, really they fall into one of two categories: leads or contacts. So a lead is a potential contact, and you've not yet established a two-way conversation. It's one way, probably offer-based through different touch programs. For example, these could be Facebook ads that are run through Command, Those leads come in. Those leads could be auto-triggered onto smart plans that provide neighborhood nurtures, other helpful information, all without having to actually speak to the lead. Now, you want to engage that lead. You want to get them to a conversation, or at least a two-way conversation. So that could be replying to your emails. They could be responding to your text messages. Maybe they actually do take a phone call from you. But a lead is one way, and a contact is then becoming two-way. So it's now interactive. It's value-based. You're possibly meeting with them, and you're sharing more information, getting to know them better. They're on quarterly call plans, and you're making notes and putting notes into command about them. So through all that, we're staying connected. Obviously, the lead comes in, the database is in the center there. Cultivate, right? So most agents follow-up are short-term plans, short-term follow-up, maybe only a month or two. The challenge is really long-term cultivation. So we have a couple different approaches, and again, built through command and technology. We can apply 8x8 touches or even 36 touches. These are longer. 8x8 is short-term to build that quick memory muscle and the impression of you to connect with them. But there's also the long-term nurture. So say for the people that you just closed yesterday, they're not going to buy or sell again for 5 or 7 years. How do you stay in touch with them? How do you continue to market and nurture those leads and stay that realtor of choice top of mind until they're ready to buy or sell again? Again, just some of the different ideas and concepts from the MREA. This is the strategic model for capturing them. So that allied resource in the center, the 8x8s and the 33 touches, those are all our contacts. The leads are on the outside circles, people we haven't met yet, or we've met with them. We want to target them and we haven't connected yet. So the 12 directs really go after the targeted group of haven't met. So you've not met them yet, but they're going to get something from you. 12 direct to start building that memory muscle, that mind share. And then we're going to move into the next inner circle of the 8x8s and 33 touch. So again, here on the graph, just to represent, oops, sorry about that. Just a quick representation. General public on the outside circle haven't met yet, moving them towards the met group on the inside. And again, circling up with 12 directs, 8x8s and 33 touch. We talked about the different sources here. Let's jump ahead. This is the original depiction of the MREA, the lead gen funnel, shown on the graphic with command. So same idea, database has two sides to it, the mets and the have not mets. So when you first meet a met, they're going to go into an 8x8 to build a relationship. This goes into what they call the concrete mixer, or the contract database management system. This is command. So first that 8x8 builds a relationship, then you want to get them into the long-term 33 touch. From that 33 touch, hopefully you're going to generate, well, intentionally you're going to generate some repeat business and some referral businesses as well. For the haven't met side, they're going to go into a 12 directs first, just to start to warm them up and introduce you to them. Maybe they are long-term prospects. Maybe they're not looking to buy or sell right away, but they like receiving information from you. Once you're able to connect with them, convert them into some kind of new business, they will circle back into the 8x8 and 33 touch as well. So again, just another depiction of the lead gen systems here. And again, just a couple examples of an 8x8. So again, taken right from MREA, maybe week 1, a drop-off letter of intention. Week 2, a recipe, inspirational card, some kind of touch, maybe market stats. Week 3, possibly community event, calendar. Again, more market stats, home neighborhood nurtures are great for these. Week 4, telephone calls. Again, different scripts for reaching out depending on the purpose of how you met them. Week 5, there's different types of reports you can send out. If they're a buyer, you can set them up with a safe search. If they're a real estate investor, they could be looking for properties as well, and you can also share other house maintenance tips. Obviously, this goes on with repeating, touching with some type of frequency for 8 weeks. So 1 touch a week for 8 weeks. It's all about building relationships and building that mind share. Now, flipping over from that to 33 touch, we call it nowadays 36 touch. But again, 18 touches, combination of emails, mailers, letters, etc. Monthly neighborhood nurtures count as these. You could also do the electronic newsletters. Obviously, other personal thank you cards or touches, Popeyes, telephone calls, quarterly phone calls would be on here. That's 4 touches a year. Birthday cards, holiday cards, etc. And all of those designs and content has been built out for us in Command, so it's already available for us there. So just bouncing back into the budget model real quick. Again, taken from MREA Chart of Accounts. You can actually download this. It's in the back of MREA, and it's available for download off of Keller Inc. With the actual P&L statement and the chart of accounts, all of the cost codes and numbering. This is all standardized. So some of this is actually reproduced inside of Command, not all of it, but some of it. And we still have an Excel spreadsheet file that we share for Business Planning Clinic that you can use for tracking these purposes. But the complete budget model is available for review. And just to jump into the path of the MREA. So while the majority of our agents are solo agents, obviously there's an opportunity to grow. And it starts with that first hire. The first goal is obviously personal productivity, getting to a level of achievement, areas of mastery, lead generation, mindset, and vision. It starts with mindset and vision, and you need a lead generation model that's going to support your business. Once you get that lead generation model locked in, you find what's working for you, you're able to generate enough business to support yourself. Now you can start to consider hiring other people. So once you get too busy with that, but you've built out the model such that it's reliable, you can actually look to hire and train somebody. The first hire is typically an administrative assistant. Now you can do this in a couple different ways. You can actually outsource individual tasks. You can outsource marketing and social media to an assistant just to do that one task. You can outsource transaction management just to that one person. You could outsource your ISA and your database management just to that one person, just carving out that one activity. But ultimately, hiring someone full-time is the goal of the second level. Now with that, obviously going through hiring, the training process, we have different tools and resources. We have the career visioning process that we go through for the hiring. And if you're interested, we can set up a time and I can do that with you. From there, we go through 30, 60, 90, which is the initial onboarding and starting up, and then really how to succeed through others once you have those team members in place. You'll notice what's interesting is the first 2 hires are administrative. The whole idea here is around building up the systems necessary to support and sustain the business. That first lead actually can take over the front end work of the systems, lead generation, database management. And then a second person can actually be helping with the contract to close, more transaction management, transaction to close type of activities. The fourth level, and this is what Gene Rivers will cover in Business Planning Clinic, what it looks like to get to the fourth level of hiring the buyer side, leveraging the buyer side, starting out with some kind of showing assistant, and then gradually growing them into buyer's agents. And we're not going to go through all the slides here, but as those new positions open up, they create opportunities for growth. So again, we got our systems locked down, we have our economic model, we have our lead gen model, we're generating leads and appointments on a consistent high-level basis. Now we have help in the business, we have the first and second hires, we have a showing assistant, and we're going to train them up to be a buyer's agent. Long-term, they could take over, they could be a buyer specialist, and the levels go on 5, 6, and 7. Again, we're not going to cover all of those here today, but they're certainly available and modeled in the book for us. Breaking this all down, this is a great segue into our GPS and 411. So the GPS is more of the overall plan for the year, and then we're going to break that down into what we call 411. So our monthly and weekly goals. So our annual goals here at the top, this is just an example, but the types of items that you're going to be filling in here would be your net income goals, the contacts in your database. We talk about the 201 Cap Club, having 200 contacts in your database. We've determined will generate an income of approximately $120,000. Again, following the lead generation practices, 8x8s, 36 touch, using Command for neighborhood nurtures, smart plans, save searches, all of the campaigns we have in there. The units sold, the number of appointments that we need in here, the types of events that we're going to be doing. So again, this is an annual goal. You're going to have events for your clients, maybe 1 or 2 big events a year. On the right-hand side, you're also going to be looking at attending your own education and personal growth. So to support your annual goals, what type of classes do you need? If you are looking to hire assistants, maybe the leverage series will be good for that. If you just want to reanalyze your economic and lead gen and budget models, business planning clinic's a great time to do that. And you don't have to do it at the beginning of the year. I recommend do it quarterly at least. You are always looking at these numbers monthly and weekly anyway. Breaking it down into monthly. Now, again, you can divide by 12 or you could divide by 11. And you could actually hit all your goals before Thanksgiving and take the last month off the year. But we know you won't do that. You'll hit your goals before Thanksgiving and you'll be working on your business plan for the next year and carrying and rolling all that momentum over. But the same idea here now. So how many listing appointments do we need? How many buyer appointments do we need? How many contacts do we want to add to our database? If we don't have 200 yet, how many can we add each month? What's our goal for that? If we already have 200 and we want to double that, what's our goals for doubling those numbers? Again, quarterly phone calls. So it's really easy. Basically, if you're going to call your database once a quarter, then you're calling the entire database, 1/3 of it monthly. So if you had 200 contacts in your database, say divided by 3, you're making roughly 70 phone calls a month. Divide that by 4 weeks, divide that by the number of days, and it's very manageable. Even for a dual career, all of these, whatever time you have available will be impacted by these numbers. So the challenge will be, how can you maximize these numbers within the time frame that you have? Again, reviewing the budget model, making adjustments as needed. You know, again, first year solo agents, do everything available for free. Go through all those prospecting and marketing activities, do all the ones that you could do for free before you start spending money. And if you are interested in spending money on leads, we have several programs in the office, lead-based programs. Some of them do not charge an upfront monthly fee. It'll be charged as a referral fee on cost of sale. But before you go spending money on leads, please feel free to stop by, check with me, and learn more about the programs we have at the office. Again, on the far right there, registering for career visioning. Again, this is for team building and team development. And at the bottom here, you can see our goals are broken down into weekly appointments, contacts, calls, and what else, and whatever else we're going to be doing. So I think with that, we've really touched on the majority of these models. Another really great summary slide here around having a business plan. So while your GPS and your 411 is part of your business plan, this is another great template out of Business Planning Clinic. Just on the lead generation model itself, how many contacts to achieve the goals of my economic model? So it's possible you might need more than 200 contacts in your database to hit your goals. Maybe your goal is 250,000, and now you're going to need 400 or 500 contacts or more in your database to do that. How many are you going to add each day? How many are you going to add each month? If you've been in the business for a little bit, it's always great to take time to look back at your lead generation sources. What's been working in the past? What have you done for the last 12 months? What did you do for the last 5 years? If you've never taken the time to actually look at where your closed sales units come from, go back and do that for the last year. Look at where those closed units came from. Were they referrals? Were they leads from third parties? Were they repeat customers? Were they allied resources and vendors? Where do they come from? And again, if you're spending money on one of those sources and you're not seeing a big return, stop spending the money. That's what they mean by red light, green light, and holding money accountable. So if you're not seeing a return on the investment, if you've been buying leads from a third party and you're spending $300, $400, $500 a month and you're only getting a handful of leads, take the time to reconsider that. There's other lead gen sources that might provide more better quality leads at a lower fixed price or at a different cost of sale on the referral side. But we're constantly reevaluating and looking to see what works. If you find that, and you will find that a majority of your business is coming from just 1 or 2 lead sources, hone in on that. Let's double down on that. You'll find that friends and family are going to be in there. The #1 lead source is your database. It's your sphere of influence, and everybody that you're in there that you're systematically cultivating and marketing to. Carmel, you got a question? I see your hand up.
Yes, I do. I just wanted to ask if you could send me this page and the 411 page. I have it somewhere, And I can't find it. I looked for it over the weekend. I can't find it. So if you could send me that page and the 411 page, I would definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'll send you this book. I can send you this booklet. It's a good workbook for you to follow. Take the time. The templates are in there. The second half of this one dives a little bit deeper into the actual lead gen activities. So again, building out those smart plans. It's a bit of digital and physical. So obviously the quarterly call plans can be put in there. The monthly newsletters, neighborhood nurtures can all be put in there, but maybe the promotional materials, mailers, drop-offs and those other items, the events themselves, obviously physical in-person events, but you can also do a lot of different things. I know people will host, March Madness and contests and other fun, engaging activities with their database. They don't have to cost a lot of money, and they're really engaging and exciting, and people like to show up for those. Again, the 36 touches listed in here. You can obviously have more than 36 touches. And be thoughtful around it. We're not trying to spam the contacts. We're trying to add value. So I would say, as opposed to overdoing it, make sure it's based on value and not just, saturating them with information, but getting them the right information. And also thinking about how they like to communicate. Some people do like to talk, and you can get them on the phone for calls. Other people may prefer to receive emails or texts, or, not talk to you at all. Possibly, maybe they're just, they're going to direct message you. But however they like to communicate, you'll have to tailor yourself to them in that regard. I think we covered the rest of this. I think we've touched on everything. Carla, I'll definitely get you the information for today.
Okay.
And I appreciate you being here, and we're going to cover more of this in Business Planning Clinic. It's also in the calendar. But thanks again for joining Business by the Book. This has been part 2 of 2. We did the one thing, and now we did MREA. So hope you got something out of it, and looking forward to hearing the successes in your business that you have because of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.